Hello, and welcome to the Finjan Show. I'm your host, Faris Alami, and this episode is brought to you by International Strategic Management, an organization supporting institutions launching entrepreneurship and small business development activities in a community, normally in underserved, underrepresented, or under-resourced communities, of course, and in many cases to the general public or to rich resourced areas. By creating training programs, mentorship programs, designing curriculums, and everything else in between. I'm lucky to be part of that team as well. Welcome to the show. Today's episode, one of the questions that get asked a lot is, as you know, every other week I do an episode answering your questions about a specific topic or a specific idea that you would like me to share with the public. And one of them is really about pitching for money. And what I've learned throughout the years, having supported thousands of entrepreneurs globally raise money, whether it's pitching it from investors, VCs, angels, banks, CDFIs, community development financial institutions, or any other way, or pitching for business or selling customers, what I learned is that each one of them comes with its own challenges and, of course, its own opportunities. And there seems to be a thread about how to ask for money. I call it the art of asking for money. And the reason why I call it art, because there's some science to it, meaning the actual makings of the colors and things of that nature, but there's also some art because there's a design element of it. So what happened is that when you are thinking about pitching for money, you want to think about a couple of things. One is, what are the key activities that you are pitching for? Meaning, what are the, I call it milestone funding, the stones or milestones that you're going to reach by this money. Now, many times people say, first, I just need 100,000, or I need 1 million, or I need whatever the number is. And what I'm asking you to do is to break that down into what I call chunks, or sometimes you might hear investors call it crunches. And what you want to do is ask for those crunches and say, all right, can I get these crunches in this time of period of time, as well as in this much chunk, and I'm going to do X, Y, Z with it, and that will help me move forward with the idea to here or move forward with a business to here. So I'll give you a specific example. Let's just say you're asking for 100,000, and then you say, well, I really need 30,000 of it over the next 4 months. And what I'm going to do with that is going to really help me open my office or open my store, or it's going to help me furnish my store, or it's going to help me launch my new product or service. And what I'm going to use that money for is, one, I'm going to make this up, right? So if I'm launching a new product, maybe, or a new service, maybe inventory, stock up, purchasing inventory, purchasing equipment, and maybe potentially saying some staffing, right? So now it has 3 or 5 items under this one big goal of opening the store. And I need this over the next 3 months, like I said earlier, and then I need it over, I'm going to get this funded actually by myself. I'm going to fund it myself. I have a savings I'm going to use to make it. Then the next 3 months, I'm going to need another 20,000, and I'm hoping to get that from you or the bank or the VC or the angel that you're pitching, and you will do the same. My goal with that is to secure my first 100 customers. So launch of the website, launch of, do a grand opening, do some sampling, whatever you would say. So now you have somewhat of a chart that says how much money you're asking for, what's the time period, what is the big milestone that you're going to accomplish, and then what are the sub 12 points that you will help you accomplish. And then the source of the funds. That chart usually helps a lot of entrepreneurs I worked with getting their message clear to the funders. Now, many times you'll say, well, they don't need that. Maybe they don't. But what I've learned is it helps them make sure that you get the money that you need it when you need it. That's one of the ideas I'd like to share with you today about the art of asking for money. Let's take a break and discuss more. What else should you be thinking about when you're asking for money? Thank you so much for being with us. This is the Finjan Show. I'm your host, Faris Alami, and today we're talking about the art of asking for money. So whether you're pitching for VC or angel or pitching to get a new customer, think about a story. Before the break, we talked about the milestone funding chart that you maybe can create. And now I'm thinking about the story that you want to think about. What's the story? What's the reasoning behind starting the business? Who is the customer? How are you going to reach the first customer? How would you have them come back? What's different between you and the person next door? And just be careful. One of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of people say, I'm the only one doing it. Maybe you're the only one doing it this way. You might want to add few words to articulate how you say this story. Think about how you plan to make money once you open the store. Is it a clear path? Is it multiple ways or multiple channels that you're going to make money? And then what do you want for them to do at the end of this conversation with them? Do you want them to invest? Do you want them to introduce to investors? And so on and so forth. And be ready whenever you're pitching for money to answer the details. So if you say, I need $30,000 or 30,000 reals or 30,000 dirhams or 30,000 euros, whatever currency you're using, you want to think about, do I understand what that money is going to go for? And it can't be a quick answer, staffing. That's not going to go too well. Most people will say, okay, that's great, and they'll take it, but they won't fund you. Or they'll make you jump through the hoops, but then they won't give you the money. So my insights for you is make sure that you have a clear understanding of how you're going to use the money, for what, and the multiple categories of that money. It can't just be one thing, specifically staffing. It can be one thing, specifically staffing. It could potentially be a piece of equipment, but be careful, because if you're only asking for money for a piece of equipment, they might be concerned about who's going to operate it, how you're going to operate it, do you need training to operate it? So think through those kinds of ideas, because you might be asking. So think through those ideas, because you might be asking for just one item or one equipment, but in reality, you might make sure that they understand that you have a need that is a little bit bigger, but you already have it filled, meaning that maybe you already have the staffing, maybe you already have the tools that you need to deploy this product or service. So think about that when you are asking for that money, okay? So to recap, the art of asking for money is understanding the milestone charts that you would need the money by when, to use it for what, who's going to fund it, and so on and so forth. Then the story that you're going to come up with of what would make sense for this whole business, customers, how you're going to launch it, how you're going to attract them, how you're going to keep them, how you're going to grow them. Is there a clear path of multiple ways of streams of income? And then the different sources of funding that you may need, or you have secured, or you need to secure to make it work. This is some of the, I call it the insights about art of asking for network. There's much more, obviously, and we have recorded several of these through our YouTube channel. I encourage you to visit with some more details. But that's some of the ideas here about the art of asking for money. So get your story, get your numbers, and go ask. Thank you so much for tuning in. Till next time, I'm your host, Faris Alami, and this is the Finjan Show.